Hey everybody, good morning. Today is Friday, August 7th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable. Currently in a stormy situation, the lights might go on and off. I'm running off a generator in my home. So I made a stormy background with a big storm behind me. We had Hurricane Isaiah, I think they're pronouncing it that way. The lights might go on and off as the generator revs up and down. This is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. This past weekend, so a week ago, I guess today and Saturday, there seemed to be a Google ranking update. And also, as of yesterday, August 6th and 7th, so July 31st and August 1st, and August 6th and 7th, which is today, there's lots of fluctuations, lots of chatter in the SEO community around a possible Google algorithm update. None of these were confirmed. There's both significant increase in SEO community chatter around this, with people saying my rankings have increased or decreased. And there's also the tools, the fluctuation tools, the ranking checking tools that actually went ahead and noticed these changes as well. So definitely take a look at that. If you were impacted, if your rankings have changed, if your search traffic has changed, you are not alone. Also, this week, yesterday or the day before, I posted the big Google Webmaster report, which I post monthly. So if you want to catch up on the biggest things that happened over the past month, definitely take a look at that report. I do one every single month. I think I missed 1 month by accident sometime years ago. But every month I do a recap of what the most important things around Google Webmaster related SEO topics were. So definitely take a look at that. Bing is testing renaming their search engine to Microsoft Bing with the Windows logo. So here's some examples of different screenshots of what people saw this week. I even saw the new logo, which is unusual. Bing also announced that they will be expanding Bing Webmaster Tools, search performance reports, and reporting tools to include ability to see and filter out image search related stuff, as well as video search related stuff. Google already has that, but Bing does not let you filter and slice and dice based off of the search verticals. Google's John Mueller followed up. Last week I said negative reviews cannot hurt your site, which I thought was weird because in 2010, To Core My Eyes had a whole thing, and then Google said, we're going to have an algorithm come out that if you have lots of negative reviews, it could hurt your site. Well, John Mueller said, I'm not sure if that specific algorithm is out still, but technically, if people don't like your site or if you have a negative review, that could go ahead and trickle down. Asked him about that on his video this week, and I included a recap of that, including the embed. So definitely listen to how he answered that. Do not go ahead and use as a strategy negative reviews and upsetting your customers to go get a lot of links. That might go ahead and actually end up hurting you, so don't go ahead and do that. Gary from Google said in a podcast this week, what are the cases where having comments could actually hurt your rankings? Now, Google's pretty good at, as he said, understanding the comments section and from the main section, assuming you don't just blend the comments into the main section. But if you have lots of F-bombs, he said, or a lot of X-rated content in your comments, that could go ahead and get your site filtered for adult-related stuff. So you want to be careful there, he said, with that. Google also said, I think John said this, that many of the manual actions are now algorithmic, basically saying that it's some of them that the manual actions are listed for, that they manually penalize for. They haven't manually penalized for in a long, long time. And because of that, many of those are now based on Google's algorithm automatically. Google's algorithms can handle that automatically, and there's no need for Google to manually penalize the site. I asked him to give us a list of which manual actions are now automated, and he said, no, thank you. Moving on, John also said that headings and the order of those headings, so you have an H1, H2, H3. If you do H5, H4, H3 in that order, it's not going to end up hurting your website. Probably should not do that, but if you do it, it's not going to hurt your site. John Mueller also said you do not need a good distribution of followed to unfollowed or not followed, no followed links. Just get links and don't worry about your distribution between followed and no followed links. And Google, for the umpteenth time, said that search quality raters do not directly influence the search rankings. They give Google feedback on how their algorithms are working, test algorithms and live algorithms, and Google might go ahead and use that to go ahead and improve their algorithms going forward. But a search quality rater dinging or saying, I don't like this website or this website shouldn't rank, is not going to go ahead and immediately funnel back into the algorithm and say, demote this website. It doesn't work that way. And they said this I can't tell you how many times. There was a poll by Izzy Izzy Smith, asking, does knowing the Google ranking factors actually help you? Is that going to help you with your SEO? Is that going to help you? Knowing those factors is going to help. And 42% of the SEOs who filled out the poll, we only had about 500 responses, said yes, it probably will help. The rest said no. And then I wrote a nice, interesting story at Search Engine Land about what is not a Google ranking factor. So I basically went through all the years of where Google said that's not a ranking factor, that's not a ranking factor, that doesn't influence our algorithms. And I put a list together. I think there's about 30 or 40 different things that Google said over the years. So definitely take a look at that. It is a fun post. Of course, many SEOs don't believe Google when they say certain things are not ranking factors like click-through rate, dwell time, pogo sticking. But Google says they are not ranking factors. Google updated the Search Console API infrastructure. It shouldn't really impact much outside of if you need to make any changes to your API calls and stuff like that. So if you are using the API for Search Console, definitely take a look at those changes. They announced it yesterday. I asked SEOs if they've worked with Hreflang over the past 12 months. An interesting poll, we had over almost 2,000 results where 55% of those SEOs said yes, they work with Hreflang in some level in the past year or so. Right, so we had about 1,700 responses, and about 55% of the SEOs who responded, 55.5% of the SEOs who responded said they have worked with Hreflang in the past year or so, which is interesting because I would say probably less than 5% of websites, probably less than 1% of websites actually deploy Hreflang, according to the whole web, which is big, but still. Google will not be adding, again, I covered this before, a label or a filter to filter out paywalled content. Big debate about why they won't and why they shouldn't. I'm not going to get into it, but if you want to learn about that, definitely take a look at that. Google is asking searchers to not just say if they like the results. We've seen this before where Google will ask you, do you think the results are good, and have you rate the results for a specific snippet. Google will say, was that page fast? Or no, or you're unsure. So that's interesting. It's kind of Google verifying their page speed metrics are actually working properly. Google is asking some searchers who are in earthquake areas if they search for earthquake now or related searches, if they felt an earthquake or not, which is pretty interesting. Google's also adding games to the search results from the arts and culture area where you actually answer questions and score yourself on those games. Google's also testing it also in the news box under the top stories. So we saw for context last week where it was a snippet under the snippet in the actual feature snippet. But there's another box under it now where Google's testing, which you can see a picture over here. Google actually showed, this is very, very rare, not just 2 feature snippets for a single query, but 2 feature snippets from the same domain name for the same query. Here's a screenshot of it. I can't replicate it, but Glenn Gabe was able to. Google has added a call button to the desktop local panel. So now, I guess because of all the work at home video calling that's done these days, the call button now works not just from your phone, which always worked forever, but now also from desktop. So you can click call and it'll activate FaceTime from your computer or whatever native calling feature you have directly from your computer. And there's a cool Easter egg, the Cha-Cha slide. So search for Cha-Cha slide and you will have to turn on your speakers and you click on that little microphone sparkly icon and have fun with that. Hope you guys are all safe during this storm, especially in the New York area. Hope everybody's safe with COVID and coronavirus. My name again is Barry Schwartz. Today is Friday, August 7th. This is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable, listingroundtable.com. Everyone be well, be safe, and I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.